I want to talk to you today about how to reset your approach to life in midst of this shifting climate of disruption so that you can better position yourself to thrive in this new climate. Because the truth is, we are living in a new era where a lot of what we have normally done will be disrupted. And the people who are going to thrive will be those who can quickly improvise, adapt, and overcome anything. Thanks for that, Gregory Monroe. So the big question is, what should I be focusing on, or what should I be doing in this current season? I'm going to walk you through a few ideas. So I want you to grab a pen and a piece of paper, or even better yet, your journal, so that you can make notes of what you should be implementing in your life today, right now. And as we go along, if you have any questions, here is what I want you to do. Type #question followed by your question in the comment section. And when I'm finished with the session, I'll respond to your questions and/or your comments. All right, so let's talk about reacting versus responding. This is where most people are right now in their mental and their emotional states because of what's happening around us. You see, most people are either reacting or they are responding. You can either react in fear or you can respond in faith. I was reading an email earlier from a friend of mine this week who talked about how people were either running out to buy stocks of toilet tissue paper because they were reacting to what was happening around them, while another group was silently sitting and smiling at the new opportunities that they were seeing in the stock markets because everyone else was in a panic. And they started by responding to this situation by buying new stocks for very low prices, as other people, because of fear and panic, were selling off as much assets as they could. So the point is, you don't need to react in fear, but rather you should really be responding in faith. Here's the first point I want you to make a note of. You don't need fear because you have the promises of God already covering your life. So you don't have to live in fear. But let me suggest to you that perhaps that we all need to begin or start doing more things differently in life than we probably have done previously before. Maybe it's time that wherever you are, whatever it is that you are doing or you're looking to do, or those things that you had planned to do, maybe it's time that you start responding in faith by tapping into those dreams that is already in your heart. So it's really, I've found that it's really not a lack of resources. What it is a lack of resourcefulness that will keep most people stuck in this new decade. And we're going to get a little bit deeper on the resources and resourcefulness aspect in just a few moments. But just for the sake of understanding, I have my own definition of resourcefulness, which is a combination of both what the dictionary says and what I've learned from personal life. So here's what it is. Resourcefulness is simply using what you have to get what you want or need. In essence, is the attitude that there is always a way to get things done. I think that is so important. Let me say it again. Resourcefulness is simply using what you already have to get what you want or need. And it comes down to your attitude that there is always a way to get things done. So you can be resourceful, and you must be resourceful in this season and in this time in order to elevate your life and really go to the next level. So you're not stuck because of lack of resources. If you're stuck because of lack of resourcefulness. All right. So let's talk about what I believe are your 4 greatest resource assets that in this season you have available right now in your life. We're going to talk about these assets that are yours, and then we'll talk about assets that you can have access to that you don't even own. But it all becomes available to you in this season if you apply a little wisdom. And the truth is, getting wisdom is as easy as asking for it. the Apostle James said in the book which bears his name in James chapter 1 and 5, he says, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to us all. And so the truth of it is, in applying a little wisdom to your 4 greatest assets and the ones that you can tap into, like I said, if you don't have any, you can always ask God and he's going to give you some. So here are your 4 greatest resource assets. Now, let me digress a bit and start from this particular point. First, I want to again define an asset just for this discussion. And again, it's a combination of the dictionary's definition and my personal perspective. So I define an asset for this discussion as a useful or a desirable thing or quality that, if used with wisdom, can exponentially increase the quality of your life. Let me say that again. An asset, as I define it, is a useful or a desirable thing or a quality that, if you use it with wisdom, it can exponentially increase the quality of your life. So here are your available resource assets. The first available resource asset you have in your life right now is your time asset. You see, everyone has a limited supply of time. However, you can do something that I term time hacking to get more done with a good team or get more done with help. Let me give you an example. Everyone, all of us, we only have 24 hours in a day, right? So it doesn't matter whether you work a shift, or it doesn't matter whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're successful, whether you're unsuccessful, whether you're rich, whether you're poor. It doesn't matter what status you have in life or what state you are. Every single person is only given 24 hours in a day to accomplish whatever they need to get done. You see, but what I've learned is that when you have others helping you to work on accomplishing a goal, a project, or an objective, what happens is their time also gets put into the equation, as they can focus on some part of the project, some part of the goal, or some part of the objective that you don't need to spend time working on. And so what happens in the process is you get the opportunity to literally expand your available time. You get the opportunity to expand your time, because something that may have required, let's say, 8 hours for you to get done, if you bring on 3 other people, and now there's 4 of you working on this project that requires 8 hours, and each of them input 2 hours of their time, they have now cut down your job or cut down your workload from an 8-hour workload down to 2 hours, because each of them is focusing on a different aspect, different aspect of the project to bring it towards completion. And so with your time asset, while it is in limited supply, one of the smartest things that you can do is a little time hacking and be able to bring people on to assist you with accomplishing what you need or want to get done. And this is why we're going to talk about it in a little while. This is why networking and friendship is so important in this day and time. So here is the second asset, resource asset, that you have available in your life right now. You know, even before I go there, many people believe I don't have anything available in my life to get the things done that I need to get them done. And the truth of the matter is that's just not true. You have, all of us have these same assets. What separates the winners, in essence, from the losers are the people that learn how to use their assets and use what they have to move further, as opposed to those that overlook them or just simply do not engage themselves in the process. So here is the second asset you have right now, right where you're sitting. The second is your energy asset. What I mean by this is we all have a limited supply of energy, because energy is the inherent power that you have in you to move things or to get things done. But we all have a limited supply, because truthfully, there is only so much energy you have and you can put out within an average day before you are physically and emotionally depleted. Now, again, with your energy asset, the same thing we did with your time asset of time hacking, you can also do energy hacking the same way that you time hack. And I found again that the best way that you can do this, like I said earlier, is to allow other people to focus on different aspects of a goal, objective, or project that you're working on. And now they have transferred their time and their energy to that particular portion, which means you don't have to use all of your time and your energy on the entire project because you have help along the way. So you can time hack and you can energy hack, even though they both only come for us in limited supply. You know, something else is interesting that I've found that the best way to approach managing your energy, and this is really, really important because sometimes we manage our time, but we don't manage our energy. And so while we have a good schedule for what we're going to do at 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and we have all of these schedules written out for our time, we don't sit down to determine, would I have enough energy or mental and emotional state? Am I going to be in a strong enough mental and emotional state after the day has been upon me to be able to focus at something or focus on something at 6 o'clock? So you've got to be able to manage your energy. And the best way I found that is to determine which times during the day you have the most mental clarity. The times during the day when your focus is sharp and when your emotional drive is high. And once you have figured that out, and this could be early in the morning or it could be late in the afternoon. Some people work better at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Some people work better at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But you've got to determine for you what is your peak season for your energy output. And then what you do from this point is during those peak states, you want to focus on doing those things which are most important to your progress in various areas of your life. And so during your peak state, you don't just do anything. You focus on the things that are of highest priority on your list for moving forward. And what you'll find is that this is an amazing way to work in your life because it allows you in short spurts to be able to get more done over a longer period of time, even though you're only using short focus times. But you're mentally clear, you're emotionally driven, and you have the energy to get it done. Okay, so let's look at the next or the third resource asset that you have. The third resource asset that you have in your life is your experience and your knowledge asset. Now, don't take this lightly because everyone, you and me, wherever we are in life, we all have some level of experience and knowledge in some area along this particular journey that we call life. And I don't want you to overlook this power which you have. Now, here is what I've learned about this journey. First of all, there will always be people ahead of you because they have experienced more than you have. They have been on the journey longer than you have. And again, there will always be people that's behind you on this journey. And that's only because they don't have the same level of understanding and experience that you have acquired over the years. And they're possibly younger than you are. So in essence, if you are, let's say, 30 years old, someone who is 80 years old would probably have more life experiences than you do. And someone who is 15 years old would probably have less, right? But here is the power in this. The power in this is that you learn to position yourself so you are learning from those people in front of you and you are using that wisdom that they share to improve the quality of your life, and then you are turning to help those people that's behind you on the path. What I found is that living this way, you are always learning and growing and giving and helping, and that is one of the most powerful ways to live. You know, the other great thing about your experience and your knowledge asset is that you can always increase both of these resources in your life. And listen, that is truly, truly amazing. one of the things that I've found is that you can learn more. And even during the season when a number of people or a lot of us are confined to various spaces and different things like that, some people will use this time and spend time binge watching on Netflix or watching every YouTube video that comes out or Amazon Prime or whatever else to entertain themselves, and not realizing that they have the opportunity to increase exponentially their knowledge base and their understanding in different things that can help them go to another level. All right, so here's the fourth asset that you have in your life, and that is your money and your financial asset. Now I know what some of you are probably saying, listen, money and financial asset, that's the one thing right now I probably don't have. But here is something that I find interesting about the money and financial asset area. What I find interesting is that most average people, let me say it again, most average people, they usually overlook the first three assets that we just talked about whenever they need to get something done. And what they do is they default to focusing on not having enough money as an excuse not to execute on their dreams. Now, understand this. Uncommon people never do this. And what I want you to do is I want you to step into the circle of uncommon people and not use money as an excuse, because like we talked about, it's not a lack of resources, but rather the lack of resourcefulness that keeps you stuck. Now, here is an amazing thing about your money and your financial asset area. And that is, whenever you expand or you increase the first three resources or the first three resource assets in your life, this particular resource area often expands also. And the wonderful thing about it is there is no limit to how high or how far this expansion can go. I was reading an article on businessinsider.com, and in this 2019 article, Bill Gates, they said Bill Gates is the second richest man on the planet with a net worth of about $104 billion. Think about that. Apparently, he falls right behind Jeff Bezos, who is the founder of Amazon, who has got a shilling or two more than him. But Bill Gates is set to be worth $104 billion. That's a lot of money. Now, according to their calculations, they said if Bill Gates spends $1 million per day, let me say it again, if Bill Gates spends $1 million per day, it would take him 285 years to spend his fortune. That is just crazy. He's got so much money, according to their calculations. He can spend $1 million every single day, and it would take him 285 years. That's a lot of money. So, like I said, there is really no limit to how far your money and financial resource asset can expand, but it tends to grow in proportion to the way that the other three assets, you expand the other three assets in your life. Now, outside of your own resource assets, there are other assets that you can also tap into. You can also leverage something that we call OPA, which is simply other people's assets. You can leverage other people's assets to help you the same way you can leverage yours. Here's the first. You can leverage other people's time, their wisdom, their knowledge, and their experience. And what I found is you can leverage other people's time, wisdom, experience, and knowledge either through learning from them via a personal relationship or a personal connection, or you can leverage it by learning from them from a distance. And you can learn from them from a distance through watching their videos, their programs, their courses, reading their books, and all of these things. You can learn from other people and leverage that knowledge. Now, think about this for a moment. I want you to imagine the power that you have at this very moment based on what I just said. Here's what I mean. You can read a book that contains someone's knowledge and experience that took them 30 years to acquire. And you could learn and absorb their basic principles that took them 30 years in 3 to 5 hours, depending on the size of the book. That's an unimaginable power that you have. One of my favorite authors is Dr. Miles Monroe, who's deceased by now, but he's got some amazing stuff that's written. He's written stuff on leadership and vision and purpose and all types of things. It is amazing. I find it so awesome that I can learn about leadership in a 3-hour or in a week session. If I read over the period of a week or something along that line, I could learn from this man in 3 hours or a week time what took him 30 years to learn and understand. And I can learn that and go and immediately start to apply it to get my own results and develop my own experiences based on the principles that I just learned from this man and his writing. Man, listen, that's unimaginable power. So you are not limited or restricted. You can tap into these things and really take your life to the next level. It just depends on what you have chosen to do. Here's the other. The other thing that you can leverage is other people's money and financial power. Now, I know you're probably saying, oh, Conrad, please tell me how I could get some other people's money because I don't have enough for me. So I need to find how to get some money from some other people. Slow down a bit. I want you to note, think about this, and you would know this. I want you to note that there are always investors that's looking for new ideas, that's looking for new innovations, and they're looking for resourceful people to partner with so that they can get a greater return on their money. So the point is, like we talked about Bill Gates a while ago, there is no shortage of money on this planet. It just takes resourcefulness to access it. You know, and I find this so powerful. But as a matter of fact, one of the greatest investors in the universe is God himself. And God is always looking for someone to partner with to do some amazing things in this world. So you can always get to a higher dimension in both your life and your work, either through human partnership or through divine partnership. And a combination of human and divine partnership is the best way to go. All right. So here's another asset that you can leverage. You can leverage other people's network. Now, this is a really amazing concept. And the reason is, somewhere on this planet, someone already has access to a resource person that you need or want to accomplish anything in your life. And this is why it's so important to build and expand your personal network. You know, King Solomon gave a hidden nugget of wisdom on this in Proverbs chapter 18 and 24, when he said that he that will have friends must first show himself to be friendly. I want you to think about this for a moment. Think about whether or not your attitude towards friendship is actually pulling people closer to you and helping you to build your network, or your attitude is pushing people away from you. Because at the end of the day, only you can decide on your attitude. Now, break out that journal or your pen or your paper, because I'm going to give you something that I want you to write and to think through. Okay? Here's a question, and it's in 2 parts. I want you to write this question, and I want you to sit down and script the answer to this question, because it's going to push you further on your journey. Here's the question. What are some things that I have always felt an urge to accomplish, but keep putting off because I feel I don't have the resources? I want you to write that question down, and I want you to write the answer to that. What are some things that I always felt an urge to accomplish, but I keep putting off because I don't feel I have the resources? Here's the second aspect of that question. How can I leverage either my resources or other people's resources to get this thing done? One question, two parts. When you script the things that you feel an urge towards accomplishing, but you keep putting it off, there's two things that surface. One, first of all, is now you know exactly what you want to get done. So you have focus. The next aspect of it is, by you keep putting it off, it means that you have not made it a priority. So you've got to determine whether this thing that you have said for you is something you should focus on, whether you need to make it a priority or go and focus on something else. And that puts you on a path of clarity. Here's a power tip. You either use what you have, or you can learn to become better friends with others. And this is important so that you could leverage their power and you could start progressing towards those dreams that God has already put in your heart. Now, the flip side of this, or the next side of the same coin I just gave you, is that Jesus said this. He said, give and it shall be given unto you. And what I'm going to suggest to you is that maybe if you gave, and maybe if you became a better resource to other persons and a better resource to other friends around you, they would want to be a better resource to you. You know, you find out that you have a friend or colleague or someone that's working on a project and they're discussing with you and they're bouncing ideas of you, and there's some aspect of it that you can help them with. Listen, man, if you go ahead and you do that, what you would find is that person then, when you are working on something, they would have become more open even to giving of themselves to help you accomplish what you are doing. And in some circles, it is known as the law of reciprocity. So you give and they want to give. Part of the challenge as to why many times we don't receive is because we don't give. We stay in our own bubble. We stay stuck in our own world, only focus on us and our things and our stuff and our life. And because we don't open our hands to give, our hands are not open to receive anything. I want to suggest to you that you could dramatically improve the quality of your life by opening your hands to give and being a benefit and a blessing to someone else. And you will find that comes back to you. Like the word says, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, men will give unto you. Zig Ziglar, he also said a while back, Zig said, if you help enough people get what they want, you will always get what you want. So this is why I believe that we all should be thinking along this thought process. We should be thinking, okay, how can I help person X, Y, Z accomplish what they are trying to do? Because in doing that, they will want to help you get what you are trying to do to get that done. All right, let's transition to some characteristics of resourceful people, so that I can give you 6 characteristics of resourceful people which bring them success, and you can look at how you can either amplify those characteristics in your own life or install them into your own life if you weren't aware of them. I'm going to share with you 6 things that Sherry Campbell, who is a psychologist, author, and speaker, shared on entrepreneur.com. Here are 6 characteristics. The first one is that resourceful people usually are open-minded. Now, what does that mean? It means that as an open-minded person, that you must be passionate about breaking the boundaries and redefining what is and what is not possible. So she said, you've got to be somebody who is willing to break the boundaries, okay? And you've got to be willing to rewrite the status quo or change it or shift it based on what you need. One of the things I've found is that one of the biggest mistakes that most people make is they allow an unqualified source to define them. You see, don't allow people who don't know you. And the truth is, most people don't really know you because they can't see your heart. They can't see your ability. They can't see your capacity. They can't see all that you have inherent inside you. Most people don't really know you. Don't allow people who don't know you to define you, okay? Don't allow them to define what is and what is not possible for you, or what you are or what you are not capable of doing or achieving. You know, many times people will put their limitations on you, and you've got to be careful of that. In essence, they will tell you that you can't do something because they don't believe they can do it. Don't let unqualified sources define you. Jesus said this. He said, all things are possible to him who believes. Now, this means that God should be the only source that is qualified to define you. So, resourceful people are open-minded. The second thing is, resourceful people are self-assured. And this means that you've got to believe that you are creative enough and that you are capable enough of handling any problem that is placed in front of you. You know, you've got to see that in your life, that being competent and being adequate, that you are both competent and adequate enough to achieve whatever you desire. I was thinking about this, and I thought that as we all think through our lives and all the things that you have probably already been through to reach at this particular place where you are right now, I think that one of the things that you will realize is that you are more powerful than you give yourself credit for. There are many people that didn't think that you would be here where you are right now today, wherever you are. They didn't see you making it to this place, but you are here. And that means that there is power and ability in you to move past challenges and obstacles and things that you would have faced. And so you are adequate and capable enough. So self-assurance, though, but let me put this plug in here. Self-assurance doesn't mean that you get a swelled head and you get a bloated ego at your own self-importance, but rather it means that you simply believe in yourself. Here's the third thing. Resourceful people are imaginative. Now, resourcefulness is having the mindset to look at what's in front of you and to get the best use out of what you have to work with. So resourcefulness for you will be different for me because, first of all, what you have in front of you is different from what I have in front of me. And then what you have to work with is different that I have to work with. So each individual person becomes resourceful in their own unique way. You know, many times being imaginative is not always about creating something new. It's not always about bringing something new to the market or designing some new thing. It can also be about using a little creativity to take something that is old and to make it work better. So being imaginative, there's two sides. One, you create new stuff that never existed before. And then the other side is that you look at something that is old and you recreate it or you make it work better. This is so powerful. Think about this for a moment, though. In the last few years, there have been a number of disruptions around us. So in essence, this season that we're really in, disruption is nothing new. You know, while you may not have paid attention to all of the interruptions and disruptions that happen around the globe, there are millions of disruptions that have been happening in the last few moments. We only pay attention to the disruptions that personally affect us, but that doesn't mean that they happen. They don't happen. So what I'm saying is that we live in a season that is constantly facing disruptions. So this one that we're in, there's nothing new. And the disruptions are going to speed up. You got to get used to living in a disrupted society. But to understand the power of disruption, you've got to get a clear idea of what it is and how you can let it work for your benefit instead of against you. And that's very important. You see, disruption in the sense that I'm talking about at this point in this discussion, disruption is about intentionally causing temporary disorder and interruption to the way things have normally been so that you can radically change an industry or an environment. And so in this particular sense, disruption is being intentionally caused so that you can change or shift something radically because the normal may not be working anymore. And you do this to introduce something new. And what I've found is that there are two major underlying reasons often driving disruption in any area. And those two major things are speed and ease. And that simply means that we want to get something done faster, so we may disrupt something to speed up the process. To give you an example, for instance, back in the day, when you needed to do research, you would go into a physical library and scan through the library cards. And some of you, probably that's much younger, have no idea what I'm talking about. And that's fine. But you would scan through the library cards and find the sections and the books that you were looking for, and then go to those books and read the table of contents and try to get into the passages or the sections so that you're able to get an understanding or solve a problem or answer a question. That's the way you got information. In today's world, with the information superhighway that's called the internet, you could literally type something into Google and come out with tons of search results to be able to find out the answer or review a product or whatever else it is in a matter of seconds. And so the internet disrupted the process of information by simply making things faster and easier to use. So in essence, disruption, the two things, ease and speed, is about getting things done faster and making something easier to use. Here are two other quick examples. And these two quick examples of disruption are Uber and Airbnb. So Uber disrupted and they revolutionized the transportation industry, how you would catch a cab and all of these different type of things. And then Airbnb came along and they revolutionized the hotel room industry and how you would be able to book or a hotel room or stay when you go to different countries. You know, the thing about Uber and Airbnb, they didn't create anything new. But what they did is they took something old and they made it work better. So I want you to think about what new future in some area that you can visualize or imagine, which will cause you to disrupt the status quo and create something better. And that's about being imaginative as a resourceful person. The next is, resourceful people are proactive. You know, to a resourceful person, there is no such thing as procrastination. They don't have that in their mindset because they understand to be successful, you cannot put your dreams on hold and wait for the right resources or people to show up. Because in many cases, it probably will not. And you will end up going around year after year after year with these goals and these dreams and these plans and these visions that's on the drawing board and nothing ever gets launched. What resourceful people understand is that many times you just got to go out there. You just got to, like Nike's slogan says, you just got to just do it. And so you have to be proactive. The next is, resourceful people are persistent. And that means that to be resourceful, you can never give up. Because if you stop trying before the problem you're trying to solve is solved, then the truth is you haven't really accomplished anything. It is in taking that journey to get to the solution that you learn, you understand, you grow, you develop, and you become someone different that allows you to move to another stage. So in being a resourceful person, implement in your mind or put or stamp in your psyche that you will never give up, that you will look and keep working to find the solutions that you're looking for. And then the sixth thing about being a resourceful person, the six characteristics, is that resourceful people are optimistic. In essence, when you possess a resourceful mindset, it requires that you stay positive. You know, that you stay with the thought in mind that there is always a solution to every problem, even if that means that you've got to change the direction that you're going in, or you've got to change your approach to doing something. So those are the six characteristics of being a resourceful person. Now, let's transition here before we wrap up. But I believe that after hearing all of this, I'm guessing that your question must be, okay, Conrad, with everything that you have said, where do I start with doing this? And that is a really, really good question. So before we wrap up today, I'm going to share with you how I believe that we can reset and that we can thrive in this new era of disruption. So let's talk about your takeaway from this session and how I believe you can approach things differently and what you should focus on right now. I believe we should focus on a simple thing that is called the dominion mandate. Now, I'll probably get a little deeper into that in another topic, in another session, but for brevity during this discussion, here is a quick overview of what the dominion mandate is if you haven't heard about it before. In the book of Genesis, which is the first book in the Bible, when God created man, he gave him dominion over the earth and he told him to rule wisely. A lot of things that's happening in our world today, we talk about climate change and all of these things, is because man has really just not ruled wisely, you know. But what God did is he gave each of us the capacity to rule some area of life. And because we've been given this power by God to do so, we can do it. However, most people allow life to rule them instead of them ruling life. You know, as a Christian believer, I believe that God has given you and I the assignment to advance his kingdom by spreading his godly influence within the earth and being positive agents of change and transformation in our communities. So, coming off the dominion mandate, there's something that's called the 7 mountains of influence, or the 7 areas of society, or the 7 areas that society is influenced and changed by. And I believe that each of us is called to advance God's kingdom within one or more of these areas. Now, just quickly, from a spiritual point of view, mountains are considered to be places and positions of influence, dominion, and rulership. So, the 7 mountains, if you've never heard about it before, is something that was shared somewhere around about 1975 by Bill Brighton, Lauren Cunningham, and has become increasingly popular in different circles over the years. So these are the 7 mountains of influence that they spoke about. The first is family. The second is religion and spirituality. The third is business, which encompasses economy and finances. The fourth is politics, which is inclusive of government. The fifth is education. The 6th is media, which encompasses communication. And the 7th is arts, which includes entertainment and sports. Those are the 7 mountains. So here is your takeaway. In the next few days, I want you to grab your journal and I want you to think through your life. Look at each of these 7 areas and see if any of them connect with a passion or a tug in your heart, and I want you to write that down. So if media and communication, for instance, connects with something in you that excites you, write that area down. Then the next thing you do is see, as you look through your life and you think through your experiences, if there are any giftings or abilities within you which would allow you to tap into one or more of these areas. And I want you to write that down too in your journal. Your journal is going to become extremely important over the next few weeks. I also believe that in this whole process, it is wise to access help from the greatest inventor and the greatest investor in the universe by simply asking God to provide some direction for you in this process. Now, finally, once you have a tug or a leaning in any area, no matter how small it is, you should spend some time developing yourself and building something within that arena which can be a benefit and a blessing to others. I found that you'll be amazed at how simple, or how this simple process revolutionizes your life. And I personally understood that doing something as simple as this not only gives me more focus, but I have more clarity because I have a better understanding of the path I should take in my life. And there is a personal connection to it in my heart. So I'm happier because I'm in alignment with who I feel God has called me to be. That's so important. Well, I hope you enjoyed this session as much as I have. If you're on Facebook, don't forget to like our page. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel so that you get notified as soon as I release more fresh content. Also, you can find more resources over at our website, purposeunleashed.com. This is Conrad L. Jones saying, live your life purposefully, passionately, and uniquely great. And have a wonderful day, and see you in the next episode.